I found that the more grateful I am to pain or like uncomfortable situations and feeling like I'm okay no matter what, I've found that I get into a state of sort of being to other people that I become like too simplistic. It's almost like just be happy, but you can't really tell people like just be happy because there's so much behind that, so much work,
Conditions.
so much conditions, so much behind it all. But in the end, it sort of boils down to that: just be happy. I don't really tell people that, but for me, it feels like, and this might be like subconscious limiting belief in myself. But I feel like I'm sort of not almost emanating that to people, like the just be happy kind of thing. And I feel like maybe people around me maybe doesn't really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm navigating it pretty okay, better and better in my life. But I'm trying to like just get advice or some kind of thing about how to navigate that part of my life even better.
So the way that you integrate that part of yourself is through compassion, because it's, when you say just be happy, it's a lack of compassion. Why? Because it doesn't accept that person's reality. It doesn't want to go there. In other words, it doesn't want to go to that suffering. It doesn't appreciate it. It doesn't think it's natural. It doesn't think it's, you see what I mean? It's an avoidance of something that is real for someone. And that avoidance, it comes from resistance, right? It comes from maybe not necessarily resistance, but maybe a more immature, less developed part of the path. And that is how that part of the path is developed. We don't have to develop compassion. We don't have to. But compassion is the intelligence of God to have communication. It's like if we want to have a conversation, I would imagine if your boundary with communicating is that people aren't taking off your glasses, bending them, twisting them, right? It's like, I don't want to speak to you if you're going to do that to me, right? So there's an but I could do that technically, right? Hopefully you wouldn't let me, but I could technically quickly run over to you, say, sorry, what's this? Oh, there's your glasses. Weirdly, I could do that, right? But if I want to have a relationship with you, I can't do that, you see? Because you're not going to want to have a relationship with me. So the point is, compassion is the ability to accept somebody else's reality, which means to accept an illusion on our part, which then means to create a reality on our part. We are creating a reality. And all illusions have a reality, and all illusions can be either a reality or an illusion. If we accept it as a reality, then it becomes a reality. That's how duality is created. That's how we actually talk to each other without just being like, there's only one being. I can't talk to you because there's no one there to hear it because there's only one thing, right? It's like, well, if we're going to do that, why are we here having a conversation, right? We'd just be in the caves or the mountains or the house or nowhere. Just kill ourselves. What's the point, right? So when you come in with this type of energy of just be happy, the compassionate approach is to, if you care about them being happy, that's important to you, then you'll start to realize, you'll start to enter enter the vibration of what they're actually going through that makes them not want to be happy. If someone doesn't want to be happy, well, they're in their most powerful form of freedom, suffering. They're in suffering. They're choosing to be. If they want to suffer, we have no right to change that, right? Because we'd be taking their power away. So the most compassionate approach is to basically wait for, you could say, wait for worthy inquiry. And then when there's worthy inquiry, you address it on the level they're on. You know? Yeah. This is why I don't, and maybe some of you guys don't resonate with the more direct approaches that don't, they're the uncompassionate, there's no compassion in it. It's just, there was I have a friend who went to a meeting, and he said to the guy, but the way that you just spoke to this person, like what if someone has like extreme, like what if this makes someone really anxious? What if you say this at the wrong time to someone and they're really anxious and they lose their sense of self and don't have anything to hold on to or to replace it with? He said like they're all going to be up shit creek. And then his response was something like, yes, we are in shit creek, and that's exactly what's going to happen, or something like that. And it's a lack of wanting to accept someone else's reality, you see. So that would be the way to integrate that, is to wait for worthy inquiry, and then when there is worthy inquiry, meet them where they're at.
I found that usually when I try to fix people or just tell them they're okay, it was always about me being afraid of other people's feelings.
Yes.
So I wanted to fix them so I could stop being uncomfortable.
Yes.
It feels like dismissive from my side. I almost want to tell them like, love your pain. You know, can't do that. It doesn't work.
Imagine everything.
I don't know like how to.
Yes. Imagine everything you said, but you're saying it to yourself.
Yeah.
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 Okay. No, I don't.
Imagine everything you just said, but that's you trying to say it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're mirroring what you think you're trying to do for others, you're trying to do for yourself. You're mirroring it.
Yeah.
Because you're numbing it. You're avoiding your own pain.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't want to change someone else's. So you were the one telling you to love your pain.
Yeah.
So instead of, when you feel the urge to do that for someone else, that's really your urge to do that for yourself. You see? And that's compassion for yourself. That's where you take the compassion inwards. You accept your own illusions. You accept your own realities. It's a beautiful realization to come to, because it's a very subtle form of resistance. We hide in our own happiness, and it makes us numb. That's why you can't connect with others, because you're not connecting with yourself. That's why you can't feel what they're feeling, because you're avoiding feeling it. If you can't feel what they feel, it's because you can't feel it, literally. So if you can't feel it in them, you can't feel it in yourself. If you can't feel it in yourself, you're resisting it. So what I sense is a fear of suffering, not necessarily the fear of suffering is different from suffering now. It's still suffering, but it's a different flavor. So whereas you've probably, what's happening is your heart is opening. This is probably why you're here.
Yeah, I felt it all, especially this last year.
Yeah.
My heart is just opening and opening.
Yeah. But that heart opening is not for other people. That heart opening is for yourself. You're scared to suffer. That's where it comes from. A closed heart is a heart that is scared to open up for the sake of, well, if I do, I'll have to feel what's inside. So just be aware of that. That's all you have to do, is notice that. Give yourself the freedom to suffer. You don't have to run from that. This urge, but it has to be realized that this urge for you to change other people is still the residence, the remnants in you of desiring to change yourself, to change your own suffering. Self-compassion is to give yourself the freedom to suffer. It's, I know you haven't been in any of the mastermind calls, right? Something I share often is I know syndrome.
Yeah.
I know syndrome is the favorite tool of choice of the separate self. It will say, I know that this, and this, but this still happens. I know this greater truth, but lesser truth still takes place. And what we do is we bypass integrating our understanding by virtue of thinking that we know it. Knowledge doesn't pass through the eye of the needle. Understanding does. Understanding transcends the mind. Understanding doesn't require memory in order to express it, right? I understand English. I don't think about the words before I say them. They express naturally from me. So moving forward, notice when you're using knowledge as a source of spiritual wisdom. Knowledge is not where wisdom comes from. So whenever you're finding yourself in a position where you're kind of referring to what to do based on knowledge, based on like, what can I remember to do? You're instantly taking away your wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's probably what's happening in these moments is you're kind of going off a script in a way. And you go, well, this is the appropriate thing to do because I do know better. When you do that, you prevent your innate wisdom from being expressed because that will always come naturally from pure understanding, which doesn't come from the mind. So just notice those two things. Notice when you're not giving yourself the freedom to suffer because you know better. Just accept it. Accept defeat. This is me suffering, and that's completely natural and okay, right? And then notice when you're using that same thing in other scenarios. Whenever you know something, but then still suffer, look at what it is that you think you know and just forget it. Just completely remove it from your mind and then just carry on with your life. Start getting used to not relying on knowledge because that is the next thing that the separate self will use to perpetuate itself. And then all of a sudden you'll find yourself, you might behave a lot differently. You might be, but then your next job is to enlighten yourself. What does that mean? It means to be the darkest, most ignorant, unenlightened thing you could ever possibly be, and to completely embrace that and accept that. Could you imagine an enlightenment process that didn't go through that? You see? It wouldn't make sense. Enlighten means to shine on all the darkness. So these are the areas of darkness which you've rightly identified as your need to change others, therefore your need to change yourself, your need to know, your need to rely on the mind. These are all areas and pockets that we've covered, these four things through this, which I would bring your attention to.
Hey, if you like this video, I do calls like this every single week in my free community. The link's in the description if you'd like to check that out. Thank you very much. Bye.